Know the top stories of the day. Understand the issues that matter. This is Manila Bulletin News on Web. Your quick rundown of top news in the country and around the world. Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Be fully informed.
Your stories are worth telling. Never ever doubt it. My name is Mart Villaluna and I am a multimedia journalist here at the Manila Bulletin. I also happen to be the executive producer of the Manila Bulletin's newest digital documentary series called MB Digidocs. Together with the rest of our team, MB Digidocs will share to you stories that give face to our history and culture, to our extraordinary talents and interests, and to the many issues surrounding our world. Stories that give hope and amplify the voices of ordinary Filipinos and their communities who do a lot of great work for our society. And stories that explore our deep human connections, highlighting those moments that unite us and that celebrate the triumph of our spirit. So this coming February 2, on the 121st anniversary of the Manila Bulletin, we will air our pilot episode and we hope that you guys will tune in as we appreciate together these narratives where you are the protagonists. This is MB Digidocs. Your stories are worth telling.
Hello, Kong Hei Fat Choi. This is the incoming year of the Metal Ox, and welcome to the online edition of Manila Bulletin's special Chinese New Year supplement. Every year, a much awaited supplement because everybody wants to know what their luck is going to be like. And our Feng Shui expert here, Mr. Patrick Fernandez, will fill us in on what signs are lucky, what will be the auspicious directions, what to do and what not to do. Right, Patrick?
Yes, Auntie. So yeah, Feng Shui Fat Sai, Auntie. Happy New Year. And it's the beginning of a brand new Chinese year. And I'm excited to join you here with all of our bulletin viewers.
Okay. And what is your general prognosis for the year after a very bad year?
I know. So 2020 was truly a year like no other, I think, for pretty much everyone in the world. So it was a very unique situation. Fortunately, this year should be a lot calmer and less chaotic. Part of that is also it's the it should start the beginning of the winter, the end of winter. So the pig, the rat, and ox are all winter animals.
Okay.
But with the ox comes the start of the beginning of spring.
All right.
So it's almost like a rebirth in this 12 year of the seasons. So that's gonna be another good sign for us. Correct?
Okay. Now, you're a Feng Shui scholar. You are also a banker. You are also in data analytics. How do you reconcile these sciences into the practice of Feng Shui? And what is the role of Feng Shui in calculating all these good signs, auspicious signs, with regard to how we celebrate or welcome a new year?
Yeah, so it's a very good question, Auntie. So a lot of people think of Feng Shui as, mystical, almost religious in nature, and that could be farther from the truth. The truth is Feng Shui and Chinese metaphysics, which has to do with the luck of the person, is very rooted in numbers. And a lot of it is driven off of data analysis. So we take, for example, inputs like a person's birthday, the direction of the house, characteristics of the property. We take all of that into account. We then analyze it using very well documented models in Feng Shui and Chinese astrology. And then we come up with the outputs, which is what is a person's luck? What is a property's luck over the next 1 to 20 years from the perspective of relationships and health and wealth? All of those are taken into account. So it's very systematic. And we also use trends a lot. So trend analysis. So I mentioned earlier the 12-year cycle, the 60-year cycle. Feng Shui also has a 9-year cycle for the different flying stars, which we'll get to in a bit. So all of that is very rooted in data. So I'm glad for this role where I'm helping our shop and my mom, the Yin and Yang shop of harmony. I'm able to blend my left brain activity, the data science and finance, with my right brain activity, which is the Feng Shui, the intuition, the inference, and blend it all together. And that's how we come up with our approach.
How do I blend or incorporate those principles of Feng Shui into a practical life?
So the good thing there, Auntie, is we're here to help. And like with many other fields, for example, if you're feeling, sick or not so well, you go to a doctor. You give him your symptoms, you give him what you're feeling, and then the doctor, being the expert in the field, will tell you, okay, based on what you told me, here's what I think is happening, here's what you can do. And we see ourselves very similar to that. So you have your information, your family's information, and so on, and we can help interpret how that would then translate to all of your different luck elements. And one important thing that you mentioned, Auntie, is apart from knowing what your energies are, the even more important aspect is the effort you put in. So knowing, for example, you're going to have good career luck, it's not enough that you just sit back and let the job come to you. You have to go out and look for the job and present yourself. And then marrying those two will give you the best outcome. So I think it's really going to be a partnership, Auntie, of people knowing the basics of Feng Shui and some of the information they have. We come in with the expertise, and then we come up with what you should do and what you can do for this year and for the years to come.
Okay, before we go to our first commercial break, give me one tip. Not necessarily for the rat or the rabbit or the dragon. First tip from Patrick Fernandez. What to do, what not to do.
So first tip for the year, there's going to be certain signs that maybe not so good. One thing that is that can be done if your sign is not so good is doing good deeds and practicing charity. That will actually improve your positive energy. It'll also improve your mood because when you help others, it usually helps there.
Sounds like a religion. Sounds like a religion. be charitable, di ba?
Exactly. And if you think about it, Auntie, it's very philosophical in nature where, the golden rule, do unto others as you want done unto yourself.
Okay.
And given that it transcends religion, it goes into a worldview of when all of these things happen, when you are able to give good to the universe, the good of the universe comes back to you.
Right. Okay. So, we will be back in a few seconds because this is going to be part 2 of our interview with Patrick Fernandez on the good things to expect in the year of the metal ox. Whether you're a dragon, a horse, a goat, a pig, we'll be right back.
In Chinese, Spring Festival refers to the same festival more commonly known in English as the Chinese New Year. This festival celebrates both the beginning of a new lunar year and the beginning of spring. The Chinese New Year 2021 falls on Friday, February 12, beginning a year of the mighty metal ox. It is the biggest and grandest festival in China and in some parts of the world. Here are things to do during the 15 days of the Spring Festival. On February 12, New Year's Day, the first day of the new year, everyone should greet each other with happy and auspicious greetings. There should be no negative thoughts or words throughout the day. It is also a traditional custom to give children and unmarried relatives ang pao filled with money as a symbol of luck and wealth to the person who receives it. This is considered a blessing and is known as lucky money to keep for 1 year. It does not matter how much, as it is the act that is important. Fortunately for children, parents should not reprimand them on New Year's Day. Spend time with families and loved ones. Avoid using knives or scissors or any sharp objects on this day. Avoid sweeping on the first day lest you sweep away the good luck from your home. And the most important is to place in the proper location all your Feng Shui cures and enhancers. On February 13, the second day, it is another day for visiting families and loved ones in their homes. This is also referred to as In-Laws Day. Married daughters usually go visit their parents and spend time with them. On February 14, the third day, it is a day to rest or stay home and enjoy time with family. It is also an auspicious day to visit temples and churches to pray and give thanks and ask for blessings for the coming year. On February 15, the fourth day, if you have a home altar, light an incense and ask for more blessings since it is said to be the birthday of the god of fortune.
Okay, we're back with Mr. Patrick Lim Fernandez, our Feng Shui scholar, on the prospects of the year of the metal ox. So, Patrick, you said it's going to be a calmer year. Does that also mean better year? Of course, calmer. Everybody's emotions are supposed to be more settled, no? But economically, socially, will that apply, being calm?
Yes, Auntie, it will apply. So, fortunately, for example, on the business side, for industries, it looks to be a less volatile year than last year, especially in terms of growth. For example, like for GDP and some other economic indicators, it should show steady growth this year versus last year. And from a business perspective, some industries that are going to do well this year are fire industries. So this would be technology companies like hardware and software. Energy should do well, food, social media and communications, all of those are fire industries. Those should do well. And then on another side would be wood, industries with wood. So that would be home industries, furniture, design, architecture, especially now that there's a lot of work from home. That's actually going to be pretty good this year. Education should be good.
That would include planting, ano? Everybody is a
Yes.
plantita or plantito. So you have wood. So wood is trees and plants, right? Oh, good.
Correct, Auntie. Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
everyone will be an amateur horticulturist this year.
Okay. Go ahead.
And then, so those are some good industries that will be for us this year, Auntie.
So for the next few minutes, we're going to talk about the ox, the tiger, and the rabbit. Okay, let's start with the rabbit. The particulars for the ox, and why is it metal? Is it the same as golden ox?
So there's a slight distinction, Auntie. So this one is a yin metal. Last year was yang metal, which is usually golden. Yin metal is the second one that follows it. So it's simply yin metal ox. So from that regard, the first sign in this cycle would be the ox. So the ox will have a mixed year, and here's why. One good thing is they're in the spotlight. It's your year. It's finally your year to shine and be a leader. So that's definitely good. The flip side is there's this entity called the Tai Sui, or the Grand Duke. And this is who kind of governs over the energies of the year. And because you're kind of stealing some of the spotlight from this Grand Duke, You need to do certain things to appease him. So one of it, for example, are the charity works we talked about earlier. Another thing would be going to happy celebrations if you can, even if it's virtual. That will also imbibe good energy. And try to avoid going to wakes and funerals if possible, or going to the hospital. So those are some things that the ox should keep in mind. They should also be careful of any possible family conflicts. So just try to stay away and try to appease everyone if possible. And also take some precautions with your health.
Don't be bullheaded. And don't be bullheaded.
Exactly.
Take your vaccination shots.
Yes. Yeah. Don't be stubborn like an ox.
And don't be a bully.
Yes.
Okay. What particular luck will be favorable? Will favor the ox? Will it be romance? Will it be education? Will it be professional?
For the ox this year, Auntie, it's mostly professional. And this is because they have a creative star. So their creative juices will be flowing.
Okay.
They'll be a lot more imaginative, a lot more innovative. So this will be the good thing for the ox.
Does it mean that the ox will be in the best position to move forward and to accomplish their goals better than the 11 other signs? Because it's his year. It's their year.
So it is one of the good signs. There are actually some better signs coming up, so stay tuned for that. But it is one of the better signs this year, Auntie. But because of the balance with the Tai Sui or the Grand Duke, it kind of evens things out a little bit for him.
It's sort of like stealing the limelight from somebody.
Exactly. So it's kind of like there's the main star in the movie and you're the co-star. So this is what happens.
Okay. So now we go to the tiger.
Yes, so for the tiger, the good thing for the tiger this year is about the relationships. So it's a good year if you're single, it's a good year to find someone. If you're married already, it's a good year to
get
reestablish
divorced.
relations. Don't get divorced, exactly.
It's a good time to let go of a bad relationship. Does that mean it?
Yeah, exactly, Auntie. So when we talk about relationships, this is a time to be honest with yourself and with your partner.
Okay.
And if, for example, it's really good for you, if you're single or married, and you will see each other grow and take the next step, then that is a good thing. At the same time, you also need to have courage, because if you know it's not a good relationship for you, then have the courage to
break it up.
Exactly, and then it might be better for both of you. So this is a good year to have harmony in your relationship, and sometimes that harmony could be achieved by, unfortunately, going your separate ways. So gauge your situation. You'll be in the best situation to know your relationship and your partner. So look into yourself, gauge how you're doing, and then take the next steps forward.
What signs are compatible with the tiger?
So the tiger, in terms of friends, the two friends of the tiger in the zodiac are the horse and the dog. And if they can find someone in those signs, those would be pretty compatible for the tiger.
Okay, so now we go to the third sign, the rabbit.
The rabbit. Yes, the rabbit. So unfortunately for the rabbits this year, they're probably the sign with the least positive energy. But the way they can actually turn this around in their favor is they can see this as a year of growth. So if you have a lot of challenges and there's a lot of things that, if you have a lot of headwinds, you might just give up, or you might just say, okay, I'll just wait till next year and just hibernate. But that shouldn't be the case. You should take each challenge as a learning opportunity. And I think there's a saying that, never waste a good crisis, because you always learn something. So that would be a good chance for you to learn. So this should be a year of growth for you. For the rabbits, there's a couple of things to watch out for. One is it's going to be a pretty emotional year. So there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. So just keep an even keel. Don't be too high or too low. And then just take a step back, breathe, and approach things with a calm mind. Another thing for the rabbits to look out for is the health of your elders. So if you have elder family members, elder friends or colleagues, keep an eye out for them, and just see how they're doing. And this would be both physical health and also mental and emotional health. So those are a couple of things for the rabbit to watch out for.
What businesses are favored for the rabbit?
So for the rabbit, it would be in line with the favorable industries for the year, Auntie. So that would be the technology, food, home industry. So all of that should be good for the rabbit.
Which of the four types of rabbit is better than the others? You have a water rabbit, you have a fire rabbit, metal rabbit, etc. No, what would
Correct,
be the
correct.
best one among the rabbits? Because you're saying that the rabbit must keep an even keel, but there are
Yes.
certain little things that might be better for this type of a rabbit. Which is this type?
Correct. So of the different element signs, the good signs would be the fire rabbit and the wood rabbit. So those are the two that should have better years than the other rabbits.
How old would they be, Patrick? In case they don't know, more or less around what time? What year? Do you have that? Off the top
So
of
the
your
wood
head?
the wood rabbit is 1975,
Wow. Okay.
and then the fire rabbit is 1987.
How can you put all these things into your head? There are 12 signs. There are 12 signs, and each sign has times 5, no? Times 4, times 5. My gosh. Anyway, our next 3 signs would be dragon, snake, and horse. So, okay,
Yes.
we begin with the dragon. I love that sign, dragon. But I'm not
So
a
the
dragon.
dragons, so the dragons will have a very interesting year this year.
Oh, good.
They have a star called the benefactor star, and what the benefactor star is, there's going to be a person in a position of authority that's going to help you.
Mhm.
And where the help will be coming from for the dragon is more from females. So if you
female
are looking for
dragons are more lucky.
actually
than
it's
the
the
male.
dragon auntie who are going to look for help from females. So
Okay,
this is so for example, if you're in business, it could be female investors or female customers. If you're working in a company, it could be a female superior, female boss, so all of those, or even just from friendships, it could be a female friend. So those are the people who should be helping you out this year.
Mhm.
And it's going to be pretty good for their career as well. So it's going to be in high gear. One thing for the dragons to watch out for this year is to not to interfere with other people's business. So they might be tempted to give their opinion or to insert themselves. So the saying "mind your own business" would be
Mhm.
applicable for the dragon this year. I think in Hokkien we call it kepo. So don't be don't try to interfere or meddle in other people's business, and you should avoid trouble that way.
Okay. Before we proceed to the next sign of the snake, let's remind our viewers that they can get the hard copy, meaning the newspaper, the Manila Bulletin, which is coming out today, February 10, with a full forecast of by Patrick Lim Fernandez of all the 12 signs, plus all the pertinent data regarding the auspicious directions, the positive stars and the not so positive stars, plus what to do for the next how many days from February 10 down to when is that? Still the Lucky Spring Festival time, no? What we
Correct. So
should
February 12 Auntie would be the New Year. So the 11th would be the New Year's Eve.
do. Mhm.
And then for the Chinese, it's actually celebrated for 2 weeks after that, the
2
Spring
weeks.
Festival.
Okay,
So,
that's a Spring
correct.
Festival.
So about 15 days after the Lunar New Year, that is still a time for merrymaking and celebration.
Okay, so we can still give or receive ampao.
Yes, yes.
Okay, now we go. Now we go to the snake. A lot of my friends are snakes. You know, my
Mm.
mother was a snake. My daughter is a snake. My granddaughter
wow.
is a snake. One of my close friends is a snake. What does that make
Wow.
me? Snake pet.
a,
I mean, a
a snake
snake.
charmer, maybe, Tita.
Okay. All right. What good is in store for the snake?
So you mentioned earlier, Auntie, the signs that are going to lead. So this year, the snake is going to lead. And
One
the
of the
reason
best.
why, yes, and the reason why is the two good friends of the ox are the snake and the rooster. So it's going to be
Mhm.
very good for both the snake and the rooster. So it's
Okay.
your year to lead. If you have any opportunities to go in the forefront, share your ideas, this is a good year for that. You also have, if you're a snake, what's called an academic star. The academic star essentially is gives you energy to want to continue to learn. And this could be both formal learning, if you take a class or a course in like a school, for example, or it could also be informal learning. If you read a book, if you read articles, talk to an expert in a field, go watch a YouTube video. Like the world is your oyster. You can learn anything you want, and you have the energy this year to do that.
And what auspicious direction would be particularly important for the snake?
So for the academic direction, if you want to maximize that, this year it's found in the south. That would be good for that would be good for learning and also for attractiveness. And the other good sign for learning is also in the west.
Okay. Now we go to the horse, the work horse. Is it going to be
workhorse?
Is it going to be work forever? On the other hand, baka at the time when millions of people are unemployed, horses will continue to be employed.
The good thing with the horse this year is, apart from just looking at normal, work, let's say to be an employee, the good thing for the horse is to look at investments and businesses. So rather than just thinking of working for someone, you can actually work for yourself. Find a business or find partners to do a business, or you can even look at investments, say in property, in the stock market. Your investment luck is looking pretty rosy this year, so take advantage of that. Try to study all the options you can with your money. And the good thing with investments is they tend to be more passive, meaning even while you're sleeping, your money is growing. So you don't need to be putting the work in. So that's a good thing for the horse this year. Rather than being a workhorse, let your money work for you, and that would be your workhorse. So that's something for the horse this year.
On the other hand, I have to ask you this because you're a banker. They say that in during the pandemic, cash is king. Should I invest? Should I spend my cash to invest in a good business?
So actually, the interesting thing last year, Auntie, is if you take a look at the people who had their money in the stock market, like for example, a lot of let's say in the US, the richest 1%, their wealth grew by more than $1 trillion.
Oh my God! Last year, during the pandemic.
During the pandemic, exactly, because they knew where to put their money. So they knew, for example, companies like Zoom, for example, or companies like everyone that was able to, TikTok, companies that were able to leverage the work from home status, they were able to do well, and the investors were savvy enough to do that. They did pretty well for themselves. There's a saying by Warren Buffett, the legendary investor: when others are fearful, be greedy. When others are greedy, be fearful. So when for example the stocks were dropping, the people with cash invested because they knew it was a good bargain, and that was where they were able to make their fortunes.
Hey, this is nice, Patrick. You're giving us advice as a Feng Shui expert and as a banker and investor. So we will be back with the next 6 signs. What are those 6 signs? Can you do it right off the top of your head?
Sure. So we have the goat, we have the monkey, the rooster, the dog, the pig, and then we'll end with the rat.
Okay. And don't forget, you're watching this on the Manila Bulletin online and Facebook. And for those who, like me, old school, we want to hold the newspaper between our hands. You can find all of this and more in today's Manila Bulletin special Chinese New Year supplement.
This segment is brought to you by Casino Filipino. On February 16, the 5th day, it is a good time to spend the day and strengthen bonds with friends and colleagues. This is also the day that is known as sending away poverty. It is basically throwing away old garbage to allow new good fortune to come in. It is also advisable on this day to pursue new beginnings and pay attention to new opportunities. On February 17, the 6th day, this is a good day to start work and open back up for business after the festivities and celebrations of the new year. On February 18, the 7th day, this is known as everybody's birthday, so make sure to find an opportunity to celebrate at home with family or with colleagues and office mates. On February 19, the 8th day, employers can invite to promote harmony and team effort atmosphere among the office or workplace colleagues. Having lunch or dinner together is a good gesture and hopeful sign for a smooth luck the year ahead. Employers can also give out goodies to their employees to show thanks and appreciation. And on February 26th, the 15th day, it is the day we celebrate the Lantern Festival. An auspicious day when the wealth god arrives to bestow health, hopes, and good fortune. It marks the end of the festivities and is seen as an auspicious day deemed to be lucky to celebrate again with families and friends for an enjoyable event.
All right, we're back with Patrick Fernandez doing the Metal Ox forecast for 2021. We are now into the last 6 signs, right, Patrick? What are those 6
Yes,
signs? Give us a little teaser about the next 6 signs to follow. Goat.
Sure. So it's the goat, the monkey, the rooster, the dog, the pig, and the rat.
Okay, let's start with the goat.
So the goat this year, unfortunately, is what's called chong or clash for the ox. So each animal has its what we call the arch nemesis, and the goat and the ox are the enemies, unfortunately.
Okay. Oh.
So it's going to be a relatively tough year for the goat. There's going to be a lot of challenges, expenses that may pop up they didn't know about, misunderstandings. All of those may be happening to the goat. One good thing though that they should do is, earlier we mentioned about giving to charity and doing good deeds. They should definitely do that. And then another thing they can do is try to do some bloodletting after the new year. And what this means is you can donate blood, or you can do a blood test, and that will kind of preempt any negative things that may happen. Even teeth cleaning, that's another way to do that. So these are ways to kind of diminish some of the negative energies. At the same time,
is there a charm or an amulet that especially for the goat to tamp down the bad influence?
Yeah, so what the goat can do is, because the ox and the rat are actually best friends, they can carry things that have like a rat, like a piece of jewelry or something, like a pendant, and we have it in the yin and yang shop. So those are things that they can carry with them to diminish the energy of the ox.
It should be a symbol of the rat, if not the ox.
Yes.
If not the symbol of the ox, maybe the rat. Okay.
Yes.
So next, monkey. Unless you have something more. What about the good things for the goat? What good things are you? Just one.
Yeah, the good thing for the goat is they don't have to do it alone. They'll be getting the support they need from their friends, from their family. So as you're going through a tough year, lean into your family and friends and ask for help when you need it, rather than waiting for the help to come.
All right. So the next sign is
so for the monkey. The monkey is actually also going to be good for relationships, similar to the tiger. So this is a time to really build harmonies, and apart from romantic relationships, this is also good for filial type of relationships, so your friends, your colleagues. So try to network and meet new people this year. So this, even virtually, you'd be surprised that you'll be able to meet a lot of new people. So for the monkey, try to network, try to get yourself out there, and this will help you this year and in the years to come. You'll also have, unfortunately, this year, some potential accidents. So just be careful. Just take extra precaution when you cross the street, when you're driving. Don't do any high-risk activities like bungee jumping. So just try to diminish some of those things, and you should be okay.
All right. Next sign, rooster.
So the rooster, because it's also barkada, or a group of friends with the ox and the snake and the rooster. Those are the three. They have this star called the Golden Treasure Box Star. So it's pretty interesting. So it holds in it, treasure like wealth. And the way to unlock it is by doing good deeds. So if you do good deeds, this star will be unlocked, and then you'll be getting some unexpected wealth this year. So that's something to look forward to. So for the rooster, they're pretty good. They'll have a lot of authority and power as well. One thing they should watch out for is they have this star called the Float Sink Star. So if you imagine like in an ocean and there's a buoy that just kind of goes up and down, sometimes they'll feel that even though they're doing a lot of things and they're moving a lot and doing a lot of actions, like things aren't moving at their pace, that they're just staying still. A lot of that is just psychological. So don't be frustrated when you feel things aren't going your way and they're going too slow. Just try to move ahead and plow through, and you should have a pretty good year.
Did you know that President Duterte is a rooster? I think it's a wooden rooster. So it's going to be a nice year for him.
It's gonna be
Okay.
a good year. Yeah.
All right. Next one is the dog.
The dog. So the dog
Wait,
this
wait,
year
wait.
should.
Patrick, wait a while. Speaking of President Duterte, Malacanang, is it in a nice, good, favorable position, direction this year?
It should be pretty favorable this year.
Oh,
So all the signs are pointing to a rebound from last year. So it's going to look pretty good this year from a kind of from a political standpoint.
okay. All right. So now we go to the dog. Mhm.
So for the dog, they're going to see a lot of professional advancement this year. And what this means
Ah.
is if you're working in a company, you should see some opportunities for promotion. If
Mhm.
you have your own business, you might see this business grow. Or even if you're a student, you could see, getting good grades and then moving faster than your peers. So take
Mhm.
advantage of this energy. Even though you have it, don't just wait for it to come. Try to seek out leadership opportunities or new markets that you wanted to test. Or even as a student, try to find opportunities to volunteer or study extra. And you'll be rewarded. You'll see that you'll have some good advancement that you may not have
Mhm.
had in previous years.
Mhm.
The dog, though, it has a quarrel star, so it might find itself in some petty quarrels that might sometimes even escalate.
Mhm.
So it would be good for the dog just to kind of lay low and not get too involved when things get a little emotional or heated. To try to
Mhm.
lower the temperature and stay away from trouble.
Okay. Um, Followed by the
Pig.
pig. The pig.
So the pig this year, there's a star that should have an interesting notion for this year. It's a travel star. And even though we know it might be challenging to travel because of the pandemic, globally, this could also mean that your work could travel for you. So even though you're just at home or, sheltering in place, there will be opportunities for your on the professional side to find yourself maybe exporting a lot more than you did in the past
Mhm.
or
Oh.
collaborating with
Oh.
people from abroad in different
Oh.
industries in different
Oh.
geographies. So take advantage of this travel star and expand your horizons, and that should be good for you.
What I can
um,
see is that the travel industry will make a rebound and come back because
it
the
started
tourism industry is in dire straits. But
yes, yes,
from your description of the pig, a travel agent, for example, who's under the sign of the pig, might be able to cash in on some favorable
yes.
opportunities, right?
Yes.
Oh,
So I
good.
think as the world starts opening up and there's going to be a lot more opportunities to travel, I think a lot of people have cabin fever right now, so they just want to
Uh-huh.
get out. I know my mom and dad are having some degree of
Cabin.
cabin fever. I know. So now this will be the chance to do it safely. And for example, if certain countries are opening up because they've already been vaccinated, and have herd immunity, those would be some, maybe some good countries to visit. Again,
Mhm.
just do it safely. Just do it with all the precautions in mind.
Uh-huh.
And to the degree of rebounding, if we think of the airlines, cruise ships, hotels, everything related to travel, that should
Mhm.
see a better year this year than last year.
Okay. Before we go to the last sign of the rat, let's remind everybody that you're watching the online edition of the Chinese New Year supplement of the Manila Bulletin CNY that just came out this morning, February 10, 2 days before the celebration of the Chinese New Year, February 12. So now we go to the final sign, rat. I
Final
hate the
sign
rat.
is a rat. So last year was the year of the rat, and this
Awful,
year it's
awful sign.
moving.
Hey,
I
Patrick,
know.
Patrick,
Yes.
before you go on to the rat, people have been asking me, how come nobody among the respected Feng Shuis of the world saw the virus coming? None of you saw it or felt it, no?
So
Do
I
you,
think
do
what's
you have an
interesting.
answer? Do
Yeah,
you
I
have
think
an,
what's interesting, Auntie, is if we look at last year, the signs, there were a few signs that were already kind of pointing to not really, I guess, the symptom, but the effects.
Mm.
So if we think about what we shared last year, there were four things that come to mind. The first thing was, given the nature of the rat, you would really need to save a lot rather than spend. and it came true. Like saving for a rainy day, pretty much last year was a rainy day. So I think that was one symptom that came out. The other one was metal was unfavorable last year, and metal has to do with the lungs.
Ah, oh.
So because of that, we saw that it was going to be respiratory in nature. And then I think the third one, the third and the fourth one have to do with the yang metal nature in the 60-year cycle we talked about earlier, that it's going to have a lot of big change and instability and so on. So we could definitely see the symptoms of what you needed to do and what you needed to prepare for. In terms of it being, COVID-19 with all the different variants, you're right. This is something that the world has not seen before. I think the last large pandemic, the Spanish flu, was 1918, like several generations ago.
Yeah.
So this is really, truly once in a lifetime thing. And I think that's the beauty of what we do here with metaphysics and Feng Shui. Regardless of the stimulus, there's always a reaction, given the kind of the scientific principles behind it. And we can see what happens on the reactive side. The stimulus could be many different things. It could be health, it could be political, it could be economic. But in terms of what you should do, we can give guidance and help you prepare. And at the end of the day, that's your to-do list. Regardless of what happens, you have a to-do list of what to do.
Okay. Now to the last sign. The last sign of our discussion. The rat.
So the one key word for the rat this year is collaboration. Don't try to do it alone. Always look for partners if you're planning to, on a business or a venture or even at work or at school. Even with your family, if you're trying to do something, don't try to do it alone. Try to find someone who can help you, someone you can partner with, and that should actually multiply your luck this year. One thing for the rat to watch out for, though, is just to continue to have a healthy lifestyle. There's some health factors coming in, and the one in particular to pay attention to is your mental health. So we're seeing that there's an anxiety star that is showing up for the rat. So just make sure to always keep your emotions in check. Don't try to be too involved in things, and that should help lower your anxiety. Do things like meditation, mindfulness, anything that relaxes you, and that should help you this year.
Okay, so now we segue to what are we gonna do tomorrow, February 11th. That's the eve of the Chinese New Year celebration. So this is the part that's so exciting because it's fun, it's colorful, it's bright, and it's loud usually. I don't know if it will be loud, if it will be bright, if it will be colorful this year, but we have to do something about it, right? So what should we do between now, February 10th, and midnight of tomorrow, February 11th, which is the eve of the Chinese New Year's Day?
Yes. So as to prepare, Auntie, there's as we're going to have detailed in our article, there's 8 things you can do for the eve. I won't go through all 8, but I'll just go through certain some things you can do. One of it would be, if you have rice bins in your house, make sure to fill it to the brim, because this will symbolize that you have prosperity and abundance. And then put an ang pao, the red envelope, with 168 pesos in mixed denominations, and put it there in your rice bins. What this will signify is you'll have enough for the year and even more. So that's one thing. The other thing is having on your dining table certain foods, especially fruits. And there's 5 fruits we wanted to highlight. The first is pomelo, because in Chinese the word sounds like prosperity or status. And then oranges, because the homonym for orange in Chinese is wealth. Pineapple, because onglai means luck is coming. Apples, pingguo, which kind of sounds like tranquility. And then the dragon fruit, because it's kind of like the victory from the dragon's breath. So those 5 fruits, as long as they're in an even number, so 2 or 4, have those fruits on the table.
Okay.
And then lastly, once it's time for dinner, which is what everyone looks forward to, try to have a good meal with certain foods that are lucky, that signify prosperity. And here's some foods to keep in mind. One is fish. And the reason for fish is the homonym for fish in Chinese, yi, means surplus, meaning you have many leftovers and money in
Okay.
abundance. So yi is definitely, or fish is one. Seafood in general is actually good. Shrimp in particular is pretty lucky, and the reason is the word for shrimp sounds like laughter, so that's also a
Oh,
good one. And then also try to have like roasted foods like roasted pig, roasted chicken. Usually when for the Chinese, when you have a roasted meal, that always signifies you're celebrating something.
uh-huh.
So try to have something like lechon or roast chicken, something
Mm-hmm.
of that nature, and that would be good. And of course, noodles. We all know that the
Uh-huh.
longer the
Long life.
noodles, the longer the life. And
Mm-mm.
then don't forget the tikoy. And the reason for tikoy, the word nian kao, really means like a cake we have every year. So the homonym for tikoy is you have prosperity year after year, which gives you new hope. That's the reason why we have that. So these are some foods that you can have to celebrate as we welcome in the new year.
And your mom says to decorate your house with flowers, fresh
Yes,
flowers, fresh
fresh
flowers.
flowers. Yes.
Okay.
So and the reason for flowers is this is really the spring festival, the beginning of
Okay.
spring. And if you have more flowers, it signifies that your house is blooming along with
Yeah.
the rest of
And turn on all
Correct.
the lights.
Yep.
Turn on
The
all the
brighter the
lights.
better. The brighter the better.
Tomorrow night, starting at what time should we turn on the lights?
So you can start right around as midnight comes. So
Okay.
even like 9 or 10 p.m. when
Uh-huh.
things are already getting darker outside, then you can really light up the house.
And then that family dinner should be after 11 p.m., no? Just in time
Correct.
for the stars to be reconfigured.
Correct. Yeah. So ideally, if you can have it after midnight, if you can wait that long, that would be good.
Okay.
But yeah, the hour that really kind of begins is from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. But ideally, as close to midnight as possible. That would be ideal.
Okay. So now we have the last few seconds for you to give us the lucky directions and the flying star chart for 2021 in simple layman's language.
Sure. So there's certain directions this year that are lucky and some are not so lucky. So basically the way to find a direction is you stand in the middle of your house or your office and you bring out a compass. And a lot of smartphones today have a compass. And you can find what direction is north, south, southeast, etc. So you can find what these directions are with your compass. We'll have the full chart for you in the supplement. 3 particular energies or sectors I wanted to highlight are number 1, the wealth direction. This one is, if you think about it, it's not just monetary wealth, but prosperity in many facets of your life. And the direction this year is the west. So keep that in mind. And what you can do there is we'll have some lucky feng shui items we'll be highlighting in the article. But if you can activate it, meaning put some activity, occupy that space if you can, spend some time, have some movement, put things that move like clocks or water fountains. That's a way to activate that sector. And then there's 2 sectors that they have to keep in mind of not activating, meaning keeping it quiet or not renovating or not even staying there if possible. The first one is the north, because the north is actually the sickness star. So it won't be good to stay there or to have, let's say, your bedroom or your bed there. And the second one is the southeast, which is what we call the disaster star. So this is general setbacks and general calamities. So those are the 2 directions. And what to do there is, apart from not activating it, is just try to not put anything red or fire in those areas, because fire activates the stars in those 2 areas, and you just want to keep it quiet. So anyway, that's just kind of a highlight of what to do for those sectors in your home to maximize your wealth and at the same time minimize sickness and minimize any calamities that may befall you.
Okay, so that's it, Patrick. See you tomorrow night. But meantime, please remind everybody when to buy Manila Bulletin's supplement. This because it runs out. We run short every year. Better get it early. Get it early from your corner store, tindahan, or call up the Manila Bulletin for your hard copy. It's different when you hold it. Then you can keep it for the whole year. For Patrick's forecast, for all the 12 signs. Whereas if you watch it on online, you have Patrick in person, and you can listen to his advice and hope that every word will stick in your memory and have enjoy a very fulfilling, productive, and calming year. So Patrick, Kong Hei Fat Choi.
Yes, Kong Hei Fat Choi, Auntie. Kong Si Fat Sai. Wishing everyone prosperity and good luck this year.
Thank you. And you too have a good and fulfilling year.
Thank you, Auntie.